Shwmae a chroeso i Sgwrs, podlediad Consortiwm Canolbarth y De. Yn y podlediad hwn byddwch chi'n clywed y trafodaethau diweddara am bob math o bethau addysg. Hello and welcome to Sgwrs, the Central South Consortium podcast. In this podcast we'll bring you the very latest discussions on all things education.
Hello and welcome to the Central South Consortium podcast. In 2021, in collaboration with schools and universities in the region, we created a publication called 10 Ways to Support Initial Teacher Education in Schools. This is the second episode in a series of 10, each exploring one of the 10 ways that schools can offer the right kind of environment where both student teachers and schools can flourish. The title of this podcast is Embed ITE into Strategic Plans. My name is Sian Watkins and we have a wonderful double act here. I'd like to welcome Laura Morris, who's Deputy Head, and Vicky Evans, Assistant Head at Ysgol Nantgwyn. Welcome both.
Hello, good morning, Sian.
Hi, it's lovely to see you both. And I know you both hold many posts across a couple of partnerships and involved in many different ways. So I know we're going to learn a lot from you. So thanks very much for being here. So embedding ITE into strategic plans, that might seem quite a new concept, really. Why should schools consider doing that, do you think?
Well, ITE is a critical part of the education system in Wales, and it's also an important part of the national mission for education. And schools, I think, as learning organisations, have an important and critical part to play in this. As professionals, we want to ensure that our student teachers join a school culture where the development of all staff is fostered, and that this is done regardless of where they are on the career continuum. To do this effectively, initial teacher education needs to be an integral part of the school's provision, and as such, initial teacher education will need to be part of the school strategic plan. Strategic planning of this area needs to be at leadership level, really, to ensure that intentions become actuals and that the provision is at its most effective. Schools should consider being a part of ITE in Wales to contribute to the evolving education system.
That sounds really interesting. So, I mean, it's a big part then of your school in terms of putting ITE in that sort of at that strategic level.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very much part of our strategic planning. So at Ysgol Nantgwyn, we've got 6 key priorities that are part of our 1, 3 and 5 year plan. And you see ITE appearing in each of those priorities, really. The culture here is very much one where student teachers are considered part of Nantgwyn from the moment that they arrive until the moment that they leave, and generally we say that every student teacher takes a bit of Nantgwyn with them wherever they go, and it's really important to us that all of our staff foster that level of culture and make a contribution to our student teachers so that they're working on development at all points in time.
Okay. The issue with strategic planning, I guess, is that there's also a need for some careful monitoring that comes out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of the strategic planning that we do includes identifying the mechanisms by which we'll evaluate, and also how, having done the evaluation, how we'll act on any outcomes from that activity. Here, initial teacher education is part of our quality framework, which is basically the school's calendar of professional activities and our existing monitoring processes. So ITE, in terms of its monitoring, isn't separate to what we already do. It's just an extension of already planned processes. It's very much embedded into the culture and the ethos of the school. And you know, we firmly consider that we are a learning organisation, and we use our monitoring activities to allow us to actively seek information that supports us to make evaluations, but also determinations about how we can improve all of our provision, including initial teacher education.
Yeah, I think it's important when we're making those evaluations that we use a wide range of evidence. And while we say a wide range, there's no need for that to be an onerous task at all for schools. Evidence can be drawn from analysis of feedback from student teachers about in-school professional learning experiences, progression towards the professional teaching standards. It may be outcomes and progress of individual and cohorts of student teachers in different subjects or age phases. There's the effectiveness of the impact of the ITE programme on our pupils' progress and the capacity of the school in that respect. Many of the activities would be conducted as a routine part of school monitoring processes, and so the information is essentially being used for more than one purpose. It's not solely about our ITE provision here at Ysgol Nantgwyn. It's part of our culture.
All right, that's really interesting. I'm really glad to hear you saying it doesn't have to be onerous, and that it actually is embedded sort of integrally to the monitoring that you do at the school as well. So, I mean, for you, obviously, you are in a lead school, so it is perhaps a little bit more prominent for you. But can you give a little bit more detail about how ITE is part of your school's overall strategy?
Yes, ITE is a part of our school's strategic plan, and it sits within our current improvement priorities. As such, it has a whole school improvement. Governors and all members of staff regard it as one of our core responsibilities at Ysgol Nantgwyn. We carefully plan the staffing and plan for successions of staffing in this area, so that we utilise opportunities for professional development in readiness for staff taking that step to mentor, senior mentor or ITE lead. We select staff to fulfil these roles through an expression of interest. And that's an open expression of interest, and staff can do so at any point in time. And then we undertake the process to make sure that members of staff understand the role, the responsibilities, the commitment actually that it involves, and how it will work on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis once they are a part of the ITE process here.
We're also really clear about our responsibilities within the partnership, and our staff routinely engage with staff from a variety of different organisations in a variety of different ways. This includes many things, perhaps sitting on partnership boards and chairing subcommittees to support the evaluation and improvement planning of the whole ITE programme, working closely with university staff to develop programme materials, with other schools within ITE groupings to support the assessment and moderation of student teachers' progress across a number of different schools. In this, I believe we make a valid and valuable contribution, but also our staff have the opportunity to experience life in different schools and different organisations, which in turn supports them in developing a wider perspective of the education system in Wales and how we can influence that system in the interests of our pupils.
So collaboration seems to be a big part of your strategic planning then, really?
Collaboration is a very big part of our strategic planning, and that starts from within school collaboration, but also extends to across school collaboration and with other organisations, HEI, FE, various different organisations there. It is just a very routine part of what we do. We need lots and lots and lots of people to make impact on our children, so we work with them in creative ways.
I love that. I love that. So for anyone then who's at the start of this process, do you have a golden nugget piece of advice just to get them started on that idea of including ITE in strategic plans?
I think my advice would be that initial teacher education, it needs to be considered integral rather than integrated into school priority planning, and it needs to be evident or felt in whole school culture. Student teachers, when they arrive, need to be considered a part of a professional team, not additional to. They need to be welcomed, supported and challenged to develop their practice, as all of us are throughout our teaching careers.
And I would say, and again, integral to our role as a lead school is the partnership working. And while there are clear roles and responsibilities for each partner, our experience are that of genuine co-construction and collaboration. And so having an openness to this and approaching relationships with this intention is really important.
Well, that's really, really useful advice. Well, thank you both. I'm really sorry that we have to stop now, but that is all that we've got time for in this podcast. I really would like to thank you, Laura, and you, Vicky, for your insights there. And like to remind everybody who's listening that this is one in a series of 10. Please look out for our other episodes. And if you want to read more, the publication 10 Ways to Support Initial Teacher Education in Schools is available on the Central South Consortium website.
Diolch am wrando ar y benod hon o Sgwrs. Cofiwch ein dilyn ar Twitter a Facebook, tanysgrifio ein sianel YouTube, ymuno yn cymunedau ar ein gwefan a darllen ein bwletin ysgolion wythnosol am y newyddion diweddaraf. Thanks for listening to this episode of Sgwrs. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, join our online communities via our website, and read our weekly school bulletin for the latest news. Hwyl am y tro. Bye for now.